All right, are we connected? Yes. Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday, July 3rd, the day before the 4th of July. Hope you all are doing very well. I know pretty much everywhere in the country right now is very hot, except for basically exactly where I live. So I hope you all are coping. Let me go ahead and get the puppy camera turned on because for some reason that is not on right now. So give me 1 second. All right, and we're back with the puppy camera. Thank you all so much for waiting for a little bit. We didn't have it last week. It was like chaotic last week. I lost one of my earrings. That was just, it's a weird, it's been a weird vibe today too, actually. But I don't know. That is just what's going on at the beginning of July. I guess just weird energy. There were like children running around at the gym, like the 10-year-olds at the gym last night, unsupervised at like literally midnight. And I was like, how are you even here right now? Did you ride your bikes here? What's going on? Very strange. But we are here, and I will just go ahead and get into it. So if you've not been here before, my name's Evie Lupine, and every Friday, more or less, here on my channel, we do an interactive Q&A for about 2 hours, where I usually put a couple of potential suggested topics in the live stream title, but we also can basically talk about whatever you all want because it is an interactive Q&A. So whatever questions you all have to ask, that is what we are going to be chatting about. It can be anything related to kink, BDSM, dating, polyamory, dating apps, relationship advice, queer issues, pop culture stuff, anything in that general sphere. If it's a thing I talk about on my channel, it's a thing that we can talk about in here, and sometimes even other topics occasionally as well. But usually that is what we stick to. There are a couple of things that I don't talk about or give advice about. So I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I cannot give you any kind of advice about medical things. So if you have a question like that, please redirect that to somebody who's actually a medical professional. And thank you so much, Sean, for the super chat and the start of stream gifts for $2. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yes, so that's basically what you need to know as far as like things I'm not going to talk about. So I don't give like instructional advice, especially for edge play topics. So if you want, if you want to know like, how do I choke somebody? I'm going to be like, go take a class, because I don't even know who you are. I don't know how you're trying to do anything right now. We don't have any point of reference. And thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. We do have a membership here on YouTube that is available. It is 99 cents. So if you would like to join that, it enables you to use emotes during the live stream, which are custom made and they are very cute. That is the only thing the memberships are for, because for some reason YouTube put just me being able to have emotes on my channel behind a paywall. Like, there is no way to make them free. Like, if I could, I would make them free to anybody who like is subscribed to the channel, but that is not an option according to YouTube. I did see if you are in like Canada, there's some new fee adjustments that have happened, so I think it's going to be a little bit more expensive for like a couple of countries. It's going to be more than literally 99 cents. So, I also can't do anything about that, but just so you know, I got an email about that from YouTube earlier. But that is what you need to know about that. Those are some of the things that we can talk about. We have a couple of ways that you can ask questions. So you can use a super chat and it'll pop up on stream like it just did for Sean's messages, and then it'll read your question out loud. Ooh la la la, so fancy. You can also put it just in the general chat if you would like other people to see your question, and also potentially have other people give feedback. We also have a super secret special extra box. That's the Q&A box. It is pinned to the chat. It's like a little gray or white box depending on how you have things laid out, and it says ask your questions here. Click on that and you can put your question in, and it'll put it in a private box that only I can see. So if you want to ask something a little bit more privately, it kind of just puts everything in like a private treasure chest that only I can see. But those are the best ways. Basically, I go in the order that questions come in. We usually have been starting off the streams recently by getting to a couple of questions from last time that I didn't have time for that I thought sounded really interesting to discuss. But otherwise, I go in the order they come in. And if you want to make sure you have your question answered, the best way to do that is to use a super chat or use Streamlabs down below. So that is what you need to know. Yeah, that's about that on that. We have Bandit right over here who is currently trying to make a bed. But she is very fluffy, and so is the couch, and so it's a little difficult when it's warm outside. Although here it's not super warm. It's like 79 degrees or so. So definitely a lot cooler than it is in other parts of the country right now. And the world, honestly. It's like everywhere else on planet Earth is hot for some reason, except for like literally right here. But anyways, that is that on that. And we will go ahead and get into it. All right, let me see here. I'm going to look at some of the questions. I think I took a screenshot of questions for last time. Or not a screenshot, but I took a picture with my camera like a boomer. I'm going to double check those real quick. Because I remember, I think it was the time before last, we had so many questions I could not get to. Let me see here. Maybe I didn't take a picture. No, I don't think I did. Okay. Sorry, I have misled all of you. I apparently did I maybe take a screenshot on my computer? Did I maybe do that instead and put it on here and try to be smart? And do it differently than every other time I've previously done this, just to make things new and exciting? I didn't. Okay, so never mind, we don't have questions from last time. So if you know I didn't get to your question from last time and you want to re-ask it now, definitely do. We have a super chat from Twixie for $5. Thank you so much, Twixie. Hope you're surviving the heat without the AC. The heat index was 184 on Wednesday and 160 today. 107, 101 actual. Didn't even know heat indices went that high. That has to be like, I mean, people do the whole, oh my god, so hot in Arizona, crack an egg on a sidewalk and it fries on the sidewalk, LOL. But like, that's like actually really dangerous. That's like dangerous hot. Like for people that have trouble with thermoregulation or basically any vulnerable group, like, oh my gosh, that's like what I imagine Saudi Arabia is like. It sounds so ridiculous. I'm actually doing okay. We are like between heat waves at the moment. Not to jinx anything, but I have seen on Twitter at least that forecasting models for like 2 weeks from now, which are unreliable because the US has stopped funding weather balloons in a big chunk of the western half of the country. But there might be a heat dome that's like coming down from Canada on the west coast in about like 2 weeks. It doesn't seem to be popping up on any of the weather forecasts that I've seen, but as of right now, for the next like week or two, it's supposed to be like normal summer weather, not a heat wave, not super cool. Like it was cold and cloudy. It was like it was October for like a week, which I'm sure is a lot of people's favorite thing. But I like the summer. The summer is very precious to me, even when it does betray me, make it to be 105 degrees outside. It's such a brief little window in this part of the world of like nice, consistently sunny weather that I try to take advantage of it when I can, and it is disappointing when it suddenly becomes like the rest of the year for like a week. Although I think it was probably good for the plants and stuff, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, I'm doing okay. It's if you don't have AC, it had like, I don't even know, like there's like, okay, there's like public pools, you like hang out in like tepid bath water all day, like that's like, what else do you do? Well, I guess probably people in New York City, they probably, not all of them probably have bathtubs, I imagine, if they're in apartments. I don't imagine that, like, as a space-saving thing. There's a lot of New York apartments, both without ACs, but that also somehow they have bathtubs. That wouldn't make sense. Oh, yeah. I don't really actually know what wet bulb temperature means. I'm going to assume that means it's humid. I actually don't know what wet bulb means. I've heard on the news, and I never actually stopped to look at it. Yeah, I'm sorry you're having a rough time, Lexi. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a lot. I've been having a very, I feel like this week, like, mentally was kind of a rough one. Like, not like personal life things. Like, don't read into that. But just the news, like, I have to go on Twitter for work at least some of the time for like stream announcements or like DMing people or to like grab a screenshot from something I'm like talking about and just kind of keep a general pulse on like the discourse, especially because I'm not on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. Like that's kind of my like main lead-in for what's going on in like social media pop culture is Twitter, unfortunately. And I feel like this week has been a lot of very like rough news, and I'm not gonna like enumerate it right now, but if you've seen the news and articles, you've known, and it's been like, oh my god, I just can't. I am getting like a little bit of a laugh from the disaster that is currently like America 250 or the Great Freedom Fair or like whatever the fuck it is that they're calling it in DC right now. I am getting a bit of a chuckle about that just because it's so symbolic. Like if this was a novel, if this was like America the novel, and then you wrote about this as a plot point, there would just be like a wealth of symbolism that you could like draw from in this for analysis for like a literary critique thing. But it's real life, so it makes it funny. New York City apartments and houses historically do have bathtubs. Interesting. I would have assumed they didn't, obviously. That is fascinating. I am so glad I never have to interact with Twitter. Twitter is definitely the social media platform that is the one that I'm on the most because I am a content creator. Like, if I didn't do content for a living, I would definitely be on TikTok and I would not at all be on Twitter. I don't know if I would still be on Instagram or not at this point as just like a random private person. I like, even before I had, if you guys don't know, I have my Instagram account, I got suspended, deleted, whatever by Instagram. And then they said, this is final, there are no appeals. And I wasn't big enough fish to have a contact with Instagram. And there's literally just not even, I can't contact support. I can't do anything. It's all AI anyways. So it's pointless. So bye-bye Instagram account. And even before I got it deleted, like I would use it occasionally for professional stuff, and I was like toying with the idea of like, okay, there's like clearly still people on here who use it to like get kink information, and maybe I go more with like, you know, converting video topics into like text-based, like Instagram slideshow things, something like that, just to have like cross promotion for YouTube content. But I mostly just use it for like keeping up with local businesses that I like. Like, oh, what's the vegan cupcake place that does pop-ups? Like, you know, it's like most of my Instagram usage was like keeping track of like markets and shops and restaurants and things, just to see, you know, oh, they close, like when's the pop-up happening, when's the fair happening, you know, that kind of deal, which is nice. Or like tattoo artists and like other artists I would like want to order things from, so, you know, people who have like a print shop or make jewelry or something. That was most of it. I think it was actually really good with that, but the kink content, the censorship would just drive me absolutely nuts, which is why I have never really gotten super far into it. The editors might ask you to tone it down for realism. Well, the editors would ask me to have the complete story already finished first, and then they would potentially review it for picking it up as an option. That's what would actually happen. They do that and then say, well, I see you have 3 novels left of this, at least. You can come back to us when you have like 90% of it done. Because I am presently being recorded with my face, I will not say what I think about the presidential speech potentially happening tomorrow. But I will say that if we were to, let's say, pull a historical hat trick, it would be really funny. It would be really funny. And I don't currently have anything to make Mai Tais, but I would go out and get stuff to make Mai Tais, depending on what plays out. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Anyways, that's the up-to-date. That's what you need to know about what's going on in the world, in my life, and all that stuff for those who are curious. I did check my P.O. box recently, which I don't do that often. But I went there early this week and I picked up some stuff. And I don't know if anyone in particular would want a shout out or does not want to be named. But I got some very precious things in the mail that were very, very sweet. And so if you wrote me a letter or sent me something, I will send you back a response via snail mail at some future point. It is going to be my birthday in like 2 days, and it's 4th of July weekend, so I'm not going to promise I'm going to send something up by like Monday. But I will write back to you and get back to you if you wrote me something. It's very sweet. I honestly have like a little bit of anxiety about going to my P.O. box and getting stuff, just because a lot of the time I have gotten things in the mail and I am not expecting it, because I have like, you know, there are people who like send me books and things like that, like, you know, or brands I've worked with that send me like little like thank you gifts or something. Like that, I expected it's okay. If I get like a random letter with like a handwritten name on it, I do have like a little moment of like, oh my God, are they gonna try to kill me? Like I get a little panicked. I've gotten like, when I first opened my P.O. box, the like first I've got like postcards and stuff that are very sweet, but usually if I've gotten letters, I for some reason I get people who will write me very long handwritten letters that are extremely inappropriate, and I find that so weird. Like, it's not via email, although we do get weird emails, though not as much recently, but the handwritten letter for some reason seems to bring out the most inappropriate tendencies in some people. It's like, I don't even know if I open this, is there going to be a weird powder in it? Like, is it like, I get a little scared, I get a little spooked magooked. But yeah, anyways, and I will be, I'm not taking off any time for my birthday, around my birthday. My birthday's on Sunday, but obviously this week was normal. Next week's going to be normal. I'm not doing anything for my birthday until the end of the month. So I will not be streaming on Friday the 24th because I will be out in the woods doing shenanigans, hopefully. If this part of the country isn't on fire, I will be out in the woods doing shenanigans. So it'll be the end of the month, but otherwise the next couple weeks are going to be perfectly normal. And thank you for the early birthday wishes. I'm kind of curious if people guess how old they think I'm turning. That would be fun. That would be fun for me. I don't know how. I feel like I don't hide my age, but I also don't know how many people know. Oh my God, my stream. That is like the second noise happened. Maybe I don't know why. Is that just the internet being kooky today? I've noticed the stream like threshold dip a couple times. I don't have my birthday, but also I don't really like necessarily talk about how old I am. But yeah. Okay, all right. I'm scrolling back up here. I'm going to look for some questions in the chat. I mean, I do have a set schedule. I literally stream every Friday at, like, my stream schedule is very regular. When I publish videos varies, but I stream on Twitch Mondays at 5 p.m. I stream for Patreon Tuesdays at 4 p.m. and I stream here on YouTube Fridays at 6 p.m. It has literally been the same for years at this point, especially the Friday stream's been pretty much the same time and the same day since I started streaming. So that has not changed even a little bit. So I don't know what you're complaining about, buddy. Question, why are people into dark Ageplay? Also, would you ever make a video about faux-cest? I'm gonna answer this kind of backward. Would I ever make a video about faux-cest? So a couple of things about this. Number one is I generally don't make videos on things that are primarily only fetishes or sexual fantasies, as opposed to things that people can do in real life as a kink. Doesn't necessarily have to mean it's like a physical action, but it's like a type of roleplay that people commonly do in kink. And you're using the term faux-cest, which makes you think more of like written works, which makes me think of like shipping or fan fiction or something like that. And my experience when I have made videos talking about things that overlap into fetish categories, like when I've talked about tickling, for example, has led people to interact with me for a significant amount of time afterwards, like literally years, in a way that I find to be inappropriate. And I find that it doesn't, like, it brings in like a different audience who I don't necessarily want to have regularly engaging in my content, because they seem to, one, they only really want to see that one thing because they want to hear somebody talk about their fetish because that's like part of it for them. And then they, even if I literally say it multiple times in the video that it's like, this isn't my thing, I'm talking about this because it's a common kink that a lot of people are into, yada yada, people will be like, mistress, how much is a tickling session with you? I will pay $40. And it's like, what? And then they'll just like comment that like 20 times across like all of my videos. So if it's like more of a fetish thing, I generally don't talk about it as a YouTube video. And especially these days I don't, because I literally like can't, like on a live stream when I don't have it monetized at all, I don't care, because YouTube isn't gonna like scan this for monetization eligibility. So I can say the word fetish, but I can't put it in a YouTube video. I can't say it. I can't put it in a thumbnail. I can't put it in a title. It's not a common enough censored word to where I could censor it or use another word like segs or something that people use on other social media platforms for terms like sex or kink and be able to get around it, because people just wouldn't know what the video is about. So I don't talk about stuff like that. And also I think especially with anything related to the term incest, there has been, and everybody was talking about this, like, you know, is DDLG illegal now, like that topic, right? There's been a lot of targeted censorship pushing around anything related to incest or incest roleplay, whether it's like Etsy or Patreon or anywhere like that. And so even on Patreon, I wouldn't necessarily make a video about that, which is like I show and talk about basically whatever on Patreon. Like I don't show pornography, obviously, but like if something has nipples in it, I don't freak out about it when I'm on Patreon. But now Patreon has rules that are pretty restrictive around that, and so YouTube also does as well. So unfortunately, sort of the long answer is I don't know how I could talk about that in a way that would be safe for my channel. If you're curious about learning more about that, I definitely know that there are books that have talked about that in some small part, and kind of that type of interest more broadly. Like I would maybe look at like scientific research. I think Justin LeMiller has like at least a blog article about it, and I'm pretty sure Violet Blue's fetish sex book also talks about that, because it basically talks about like every single taboo fetish and kink. So that's the long thing. I personally don't have, to be clear, I don't personally have a problem with talking about it, in the sense that I think it's like something that should never be talked about, and it's like beyond the pale. It's just, it is one of the things. I don't trust AI to know the difference between me talking about maybe like why a certain type of roleplay is appealing, and like here's scientific data about like how many people are into this, and like theories about where an interest in this might come from. And promoting that kind of thing and like confusing it with like an actual crime. Unfortunately, I don't like. There's no guarantee whatsoever that a knowledgeable person who understands this kind of stuff or the difference between, you know, scientific inquiry and titillation would see it and go, okay, this is fine. Like, it's one of those things I can't really talk about, unfortunately. But as far as why people are into dark age play, I think there's, like pretty much any kink, there's a lot of potential reasons for why people are into it on both sides of the equation. I think probably the most common reasons I see people cite is obviously, not that this is the most popular, but I think it needs to be mentioned, is like coping with traumatic life experiences, maybe not one-to-one recreating something that they actually went through, but maybe trying to take power back over something that's like what they experienced, or getting to play with something that rhymes with the thing that they experienced in some way, whether that be like, I will stay in the like victim role and it'll be something that I get empowerment through, or that I will develop a sense of control and comfort with, or I want to do a role reversal thing and I want to know what it's like to be the person who is in control and is inflicting this on somebody else and does have power in the dynamic. I would say a lot of the people that I know, not even people that are into like dark age play specifically, but a lot of people I know who are sadists, like came from backgrounds where, you know, they were bullied quite a bit, they were picked on, they had unhealthy home dynamics where like older siblings or parents were like very physically aggressive and like physically challenged them a lot, and they were always kind of like the weaker one. And so getting to be in like a sadist role allows them a way to get to be something that they couldn't be when they were younger and see what it's like to be on the other side. And I think dark age play might be similar with that. So that's like one really big one. I think playing with taboo is going to be a big motivation for a lot of people, whether it's, you know, role reversal stuff or incest, or I don't like name a taboo, name something that we're not supposed to do, right? It's, you know, age gap relationships. I think especially in age play, whether it's a real or imagined age gap, you know, that's definitely a thing that's becoming a bigger taboo that wasn't as big of a deal historically. But I think increasingly part of the age play landscape. I think that's part of it, is just like the taboo of it, and getting to know that you're playing with something that's like wrong is sometimes mentally compelling for a lot of people, of like, I'm doing something I'm not supposed to do, I'm going against the grain of what society says is okay, and that's enjoyable for whatever reason. I think probably don't I have like a fucking old, okay, wait a second, back up, I had a brain, okay, I'm gonna look this up. I think, oh yeah, my desk is like way higher than normally. So like, why does this feel off? And it's because I can't rest my elbow on my desk right now. I don't know if this, I don't even know if I could like make this video today. Well, okay, YouTube updated shit. I don't know if it's like, okay. I haven't made like an age play video in like a minute. Oh yeah, okay, so get out of town, check this out. I have a video from almost 10 years ago, holy shit, 9 years ago, about dark age play. It has 170,000 views. What the fuck? When did that happen? When did that pop off in the algorithm? Because it's not monetized. Yeah, okay, put in the chat if I should revisit talking about like dark age play and like dark DDLG, because I feel like that's, I think the most recent time I probably would have mentioned like dark age play stuff would have been, I did a video on the little archetypes, and I'm pretty sure I included that in there. So at least like a bullet point, but it's been a minute, and that's like, okay. And I do have like a more recent video from like 4 years ago talking about dark pet play. Yeah, dark age play I've not like revisited in a minute. I have like a couple ideas for like different age play videos that need to get made, but that I've not actually done yet. All right, so that's dark age play. That's something I would want to research more and like try to understand like more why people are into it. Because it's definitely not just that it's like taboo, really recreating like traumatic experiences. I think it's like, it's just like, I think sometimes it's also like, as opposed to going for the most extreme possible explanation and going like, oh, it's like so totally out there, this is why they're into it. I think it can also just be as simple as like, if you have someone who is an emotional sadomasochist and or just a regular masochist and they already like age play, it's the simplest, that's how you kind of like can combine your two interests, is like if you are a heavy pain bottom and you also already like to do age play or CGL, like getting to do those two things together is like, all right, I do flavors that are better together than separately. Like, it's already awesome, but now we've just layered two awesome things together. It's peanut butter and chocolate. So I think that's part of it too, is just combining interests that already exist independently into one bigger thing. Like, it not necessarily being some like, you know, deeply held desire for the taboo and subverting expectations and going against the grain, yada yada. It doesn't always have to be that. I think probably the other reason too is there's a lot of archetypes that exist that fit really well within a dark age play framework, whether it's like the inappropriate babysitter, creepy uncle, getting bullied at school, really strict mean school marm, sort of the Sybil of it all, right? Sort of the Sybil like dark mommy thing, the classic overbearing, like physically, physically abusive, like alcoholic dad. Like, there's lots of archetypes and like dark themes that if you want to play with them, you're probably going to be playing with them in a dark age play framework. And so if you're drawn to exploring that kind of thing, if you like playing intentionally with the darker psychological aspects of kink and humanity, then you sort of do it through that. So anyways, hopefully that makes sense. It's a really good question, and now I'm thinking about dark age play, so that might be something that's coming down the pipeline. No promises. That definitely is a video that these days would not get monetized. But it's been long enough. It's worth a revisit for sure. Should I just Google or ask what dark age play is, or is this for another stream? I mean, I'll just explain it now. Sorry, just as a going forward in the live stream, I will say this: if you don't know a word I'm using, if you can't understand what I'm saying, or you've never heard a term before and you don't know what it means, please feel free to ask in the chat. I can't promise I'm always going to see it before we move on to the next topic, but it is not a stupid question. You are more than happy to ask here because I can give you my definition. But essentially, again, if I'm making a video about this, I will probably come up with a better definition that's more concise than I'm about to say. But essentially, dark age play is a form of age play. So taking on the role of an age that is different from the one that you are chronologically, generally younger, but not always, because there are people who age play older. But it's generally speaking, people think of age play, they think of somebody who, you might be biologically 35, but then you're role playing as 15, right? And then you also have on top of that the dark aspect of it, which usually means playing with sexual and or scary or emotionally intense elements. So a lot of the mainstream representation of age play or CGL ends up, but not that age play and CGL are the same, but it's similar in that both of them have this public-facing image that tends to be more associated with like coloring books and craft projects and My Little Pony and collecting stuffed animals and Pokemon cards and like that kind of thing. Like it's like light, innocent, fluffy, escapism, cute, innocent. Like it's painted as or presented as sort of one thing in public, to the point that even within those spaces, it's controversial to go deeper than that or go darker than that. Like there's a lot of controversy around like any sex existing in Ageplay or CGL. There's a lot of controversy around like any sort of elements that involve sadomasochism, any elements that involve anything emotional happening. And so because of that, a lot of it gets like shunted off into like, oh, well, you're not just doing age play, you're doing like dark age play. So dark age play tends to involve more of the like, as opposed to like, I'm sitting at daddy's lap and I'm, doing a coloring book. And these are very stereotypical examples just for ease of everyone understanding what I'm talking about. But instead of doing that, it's like, you got caught coming home like 5 minutes late, and your curfew was at 4 o'clock and now it's 4:05. So now you're gonna get like beaten with the belt for 5 minutes to make up for every single minute that you were late, right? And you're screaming and crying and saying, no, stop, please, I'll never do it again, I promise. They're like, that's what you said last time, and they keep beating you with the belt. And I'm laughing because it's like, it's so like, I'm very glad that for the most part in our society in the modern day, that kind of thing mostly exists as like adults role-playing something happening, not something that happens to actual children, because when actual children experience that kind of thing, it's typically very damaging to their psyche and is not good for their development. But when consenting adults do it for fun, it's like, it's so over the top and it's so ridiculous that like you would spank somebody with a belt for being 5 minutes late, but like here we are, that's kink, that's what happens. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea of like what dark age play means. The line of what counts as dark age play, if it wasn't clear from what I was talking about, is a little bit fuzzy, because for some people anything that involves sexuality and age play is like inherently kind of taboo, and so it's relegated off to dark stuff, whereas other people are like, oh well, if it's like sort of like happy, naturalistic, like pleasure exploration, then that's like fine. But then it's when it gets into, themes that are closer to resembling being forced or assault, then that gets into a darker territory. But yeah, there's things shift around sort of depending on who you're asking, essentially. I'm so sorry, Lexi. Hopefully your computer's okay. Definitely take it easy. Is sexual CGL automatically dark age play? So I kind of just got into that a little bit. So one, age play and CGL are not necessarily the same thing. It's, again, I also have an older video where I talk about the differences between CGL, DDLG, age play, and all that stuff. The information I don't think has changed, so even if it's old as fuck, it is still good information. But so that's one thing, is like, it's not necessarily age play, because not everybody who does CGL or is a little is also doing age play. It just, like, again, this is my opinion. I would sort of see age role play and being a little as overlapping areas that are technically separate, in the same way that like pet play and animal role play are related, but not necessarily always the same thing. Like, you can role play being a tiger, but you're not necessarily a pet tiger. You know what I mean? Does that difference make sense? But as I was saying, some people consider any kind of sexuality with an age play or CGL to be dark, just because it's like, well, but like if you're doing something and it's with your caretaker, then it's sort of inherently like a person in authority is taking advantage of you. So even if it's, pleasurable and gentle and nice, that's still technically like a violation, sort of, kind of, right? It's like, I see the argument for that for sure, but I do not necessarily agree with that. I can, like, on a universal basis, like individually, it's sort of your individual limitations of what you're comfortable with, where your boundaries are, versus, okay, this is the general rule of thumb for if you're using this term in the community, what does this involve? And so for me, I draw the line for where it becomes dark, like a little bit further beyond just like merely any kind of sexual activity. Because I think there are, like, it's less common, but there are ways of engaging in sexuality in age play and CGL that don't necessarily involve like a caregiver type or somebody playing an adult in any way, right? You have like like a bunch of littles having a sleepover party where they like explore each other's private parts. You have like Ageplay, like solar masturbation scenes. You have like sort of innocent, like, you know, school crushes that turn into like making out and fondling. Like there's ways of playing with it where it gets into sexuality, but it doesn't necessarily always look like creepy uncle doing something, you know, in a role play, or somebody, maybe more accurately, somebody role playing as though they're a creepy uncle. Which I think is how people generally think about it, is like, oh, well, if you're doing anything sexual, that must mean that it's some kind of like terrible, like forced sex CNC situation. And it's like, not really. Like, it can be that, but it's so much more than that as well. This is something I wish I could more easily talk about on YouTube without just getting age restricted, because I think it is something that would probably be helpful for people to know. And one of my favorite things I'd like to do with my videos is give people a more, oh my gosh, why is my water bottle making noise? Usually when it does that, it's about to like squirt water at me like a clam. I don't know why it does that, but I think if there's like a temperature difference between when I opened it and closed it last, it like does that. But this time it didn't blast me in the face like a clam. So I survived. I was good. All right, but yes, good question. Let's see if there's any other little follow-up things in here about Ageplay or anything before we move on. I love to see an Ageplay video about people who pretend to be an age older than their chronological age. Talk about an underserved demographic. Oh, for sure. But I think that's also like, you know, people don't think about this, but when you're in an Ageplay dynamic or when you're doing CGL, oftentimes the caregiver, especially if we're talking about people who were like 20 years old dating another 20-year-old, if they're playing a caretaker role, like if, you know, anything other than just being like a babysitter, like if they're pretending to be a mommy or a daddy, they are probably doing some kind of age play, because especially in modern culture, most people who are mommy and daddy are not 20 years old. Mommy and daddy are like 40 and own a home and have a mortgage. Like, you know, have a career, as opposed to 20-year-old that hasn't finished their undergraduate degree yet and is still like semi-living with their parents during the summer, you know? So I think that it happens, but people don't even, like, you know, think that it's happening when they're actually doing it, which I think is fascinating. And on the other hand is when mommy makes a sippy cup of milk that tastes weird and makes my brain fuzzy. Oh yeah, don't even get me. Listen, I have tried so many times to make a video about, playing, like, I think I have an older video where I try to talk about like playing under the influence. I'm definitely like wanted to do a video on like intox roleplay, because I find the idea really interesting, especially when you're not actually doing anything, but then you're like pretending that something happened. So that might be, I just did a video on Patreon. Actually, it hasn't come out because I decided that I wanted to make a different thumbnail for it, and so I'm doing that now. I just did a video for Patreon for somnophilia, and I am planning on doing a video potentially for July where I talk about intox roleplay. And because I think it's an interesting concept, and it's, whenever I've even tried to mention that kind of thing on YouTube, even if it's like purely in, which it would be for me, like purely in a harm reduction sense of like, hey, here's what you need to know before you make the decision to like get fucking blazed or like super drunk, you know, assuming you're of legal age to do that and you're in a place where those things are legal, like, here's what you need to know before you do that, so that way you don't hurt yourself or your partner. Like, hey, if your bottom is super drunk, maybe don't like tie them up really tight and then spin them around like a piñata with a gag in their mouth, because then they might vomit, and then they're wearing a gag, and so then they aspirate the vomit because it has no way to actually leave their mouth, and so they breathe it in, and it's a terrible time. So, like, I want to make a video like it, but I've even tried to mention anything like that, it just gets age restricted by YouTube, and then, like, literally nobody sees it because it's age restricted. So, like, it gets, like, 4,000 views, and then it languishes somewhere that no one ever sees. But I'd really like to revisit that as a topic for sure at some point, because it's important. And yeah, especially if you're in America, you probably want to avoid any hospital trips. fucking especially 4th of July weekend. Now is not the time to be like, let's try getting, let's have like 10 Celsiuses, and then wait, no, is Celsius an alcoholic drink, or is it no? I think this shows what I know, right? Celsius is actually caffeine beverage, isn't it? Okay, I don't know why. I think, oh no, I got it confused with White Claw. Celsius confused with White Claw. Can you tell I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about? I'm like basically straight edge. I'm like accidentally straight edge, but not as any sort of like meaningful political belief, but just sort of like, why would I pay that much money? Why would I pay that much money to feel jittery and then have trouble going to sleep? Why would I do that? But anyways, just slam back 10 White Claws and then do some Bondage on a 4th of July weekend. Like, don't do that. Oh my god. Yes, I did mean White Claw. I did mean White Claw. But yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that this weekend. Ambulances and emergency room visits are stressful and very expensive in America. So if you can avoid doing that, I would recommend it. And I'm sure this year, like every other year, is going to be people doing things they shouldn't. The Oreo of straight edge. Because the Oreos are accidentally vegan. Yes, I am accidentally straight edge in the way that Oreos are vegan. That is correct. But you know what? It's a cheaper lifestyle, and that is just fine by me. Every once in a while, I haven't done it yet this year actually, but I do, when it gets nice outside, I will get a decaf iced latte with like some kind of flavor in it. I'm thinking lavender is kind of what I'm geared towards this year. I want to try a lavender one. You also should do that with Celsius. Yeah, that's also fair. I don't know what 10 Celsiuses would do to you, but I did go to a middle school where one time an emo kid drank too many Monster Energy drinks and they did have to call an ambulance. So, like, so the most 2006 thing I think that ever happened when I was in middle school. They were fine. It was just, you know, you get heart palpitations, I imagine, at some point, and it's not good. But yeah. Oh, no, thank you for the happy birthday. I appreciate it. You're still early. You've still got plenty of time left in the chat. All right. I will keep my eye out for any follow-up with the Ageplay stuff, because I sound like people had a lot of thoughts about that one. But I am going to keep looking for some more questions here. Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. Yes, people, I recently learned this. Apparently, if you are on antidepressants, it makes you more susceptible to heat. So you have, I don't know if that's true for all antidepressants, but if you take antidepressant medication, maybe do a Google search or send a little message to your doctor on MyChart, or talk to your pharmacist, because that's what pharmacists are there for, by the way. They don't just dispense medication. They can also answer some questions about medication as well. You know, find reliable information, not from AI, about whether or not your antidepressant might cause heat intolerance, because, yeah, that is a big one to know, too, for sure. I don't know how I never heard that until, like, earlier this year. It was crazy. But good to know in general. Good to know. Oh, how lavender, honey, and blackberry frozen latte. Ooh, a frozen latte. Is that like it's blended? That sounds really good, actually. I don't think I've seen a frozen latte before. That sounds very bear-coded. Lavender, honey, and blackberry. That sounds very like, if I ran a coffee shop, I would call that one the Black Bear Latte. That's what it would be called if it was here in the Pacific Northwest, honestly. Very black bear-coded. Oh no, Loki got heat stroke a couple summers ago. Oh, that sucks. That's not good at all. Don't recommend. 0 out of 10. I have an older video on dark pet play, and I have a video from 9 years ago by dark pet play. And then I have a more recent one from 4 years ago, and then I have a 9 years ago one talking about dark age play. But it's been long enough. It's time. Something about, I don't know if other content creators feel this way, but I sort of feel this pressure to like always be doing something new with my videos, and always like, and I have a bunch of new ideas. Like I have a list to keep my phone of like ideas for videos. Like there's no shortage of that. And I would almost feel like I cheated you guys if I just remade a topic I've technically already made a video on. But if it's like 10 years old, how do you even find that video now? Like, does it get recommended in the algorithm anymore? Does it show up in search results? Like, I don't think so. And I can't really fairly test because like I'm on my own YouTube account, so I don't know if I were to search myself on YouTube whether or not it would show up. But it's worth a revisit. Plus, that video is only like 12 minutes long. I can make, if I made it again, I know for sure it's going to be like about 25 minutes long if I made it today. I ought to be able to record 2 videos in an hour and a half and edit them in an hour. And that would just be it, and I'd be done. Those were the days, folks. Those were the days. I'm new here, so this might be a question you get a lot, but I'm curious. How do you feel about adults being into the yandere/victim trope in novels, art media? I've seen it incorporated in BDSM. Okay, okay. Trying to remember my weeb knowledge. I don't personally partake of yandere stuff. Probably not even pronouncing it right. Kudere is like they act cold, but then they secretly have like really intense feelings, right? And then yandere, or I don't know if it's yandere or like yandere. I don't know linguistics of Japanese, but that is, they act like crazy. They act like overbearing and mean and like kind of psychotic, and then but they secretly have a really big crush. Like it's sort of like if you took Olga, is it Helga or Olga in Hey Arnold? Hey Arnold is a fucking awesome. It is Helga. I think Olga's the bigger sister. But Helga is fucking awesome, and Hey Arnold is a great show, and we should watch it. If you like yandere, then you should watch that. It's a good example. But sort of like you sort of being the bully, but then also you have a master. Like she literally has like a shrine to him, like with the football and everything. Like that is like, you want a Western media example of what that looks like? That's probably what I would pick, honestly. So as far as how I feel about people liking that trope in novels, art, or media, or doing it into incorporating it into BDSM, I feel like it's not that different from any of those, I don't know, the Western coined terms that we use to refer to different styles of domination. Like there's certainly a lot of people who play with the like cold, unapproachable dom trope, or the like overbearing evil mother trope. Like we already have our own, not really close, but like some versions of that. Or you have like, I know people who are dominatrixes that have all kinds of personas they play with that get quite dark. So I think as long as everyone knows that it's like consensual, then like I guess I don't really see what the problem with it is. I think it would be, I can see maybe the argument that people would make against it, like, oh, this is bad because you're just replicating like an abusive dynamic, and this is toxic, and like you're treating someone in this abusive way, and so it doesn't matter if they actually consent to it because it's bad for their brain, and yada yada. I could see that argument, but it doesn't mean I agree with it. Like, one, I think if you are a consenting adult and you are knowingly getting into a particular relationship dynamic, it doesn't necessarily matter what people on the outside think of it. I think people who engage in kink relationships ethically should have people that know about their dynamic, and that can kind of serve as like a backstop or like a sounding board for like, hey, like, how are you feeling about things? How are things going? You know, I've noticed some stuff here. What do you think about that? And this is something I advise for people who are doing like 24/7, like long-term relationships, or people who are doing higher level, like emotional sadomasochism or like intense role play on a more regular basis with their partner, to have somebody who can check in and be like, hey, is this like, are we good? Are we not good? But if it's consensual, like, I know plenty of submissives, especially submissive men, actually. I know a lot of submissive men where, like, what they want is they genuinely want someone who is, like almost evil. Like, they want someone who is really mean to them all of the time, treats them like garbage, doesn't smile at them, doesn't give them praise, beats the shit out of them. Like, they want someone who is, like, mean all of the time. And that's what they want the most of it. They love it. They live for it. That is what they want. But I don't think that's wrong. I think they need to know what they're getting into, because actually maintaining that kind of dynamic and that facade is very hard, because you need someone who does actually care about you enough to know when to stop and, like, know what's going beyond their limits as well as yours. And I think that's difficult. But yeah, underage act crazy, willing to go through extreme lengths to get approval from one they love. Yeah, I guess it'd be like, oh my god, it's love bombing. Oh my god, it's like the abuse dynamics. And it's just like, just because something looks similar doesn't mean it's actually that thing. Like, it's, now if you had you have to know where the reality is, I think, if I could boil it down to one sentence, it'd be like, you need to know where the reality of the relationship is. And sometimes people get fuzzy with that on purpose, but that's like a high-level technique. But there's a difference between, I'm with a person, and this person, their personality is this, and I'm trying to cope around it, versus, this is not this person's personality. This is an act that we're both putting on together, and when we're not actively in that role together, it stops. And it would stop if I said no, or revoked my consent, or said a safe word, right? So if that's going on, then it's like, okay, well, then what are we complaining about? You know, it's like two adults doing a thing. Oh no. People are going to do things all the time that you don't think are safe, or that you think go against what you would personally feel comfortable doing, and that's fine. There are lots of kink dynamics that I think go, you know, if I was in them would be way too far, but I don't like sit around going like, actually it's unethical to do, I don't know, 24/7 sexual free use or something. It's like, you know, that's not for me, but it doesn't mean the other people that do that are bad, right? I was told that I couldn't be in a relationship without an extreme power dynamic. Oh, without an extreme power dynamic, then I probably have a low self-esteem. Oh, so you're saying that because they're saying, like, because you couldn't be in a relationship without that kind of power dynamic, that you probably have low self-esteem. I don't know where they would get off diagnosing you with that. The most charitable interpretation I can give to that is like, you know, if you were talking about it in a certain way, like, oh, hey, this sounds like you believe this, that this is the only thing that you're worthy of, the only thing that you're good enough for is this. And there are people who I have met where when you hear them talk about what they want from power exchange, it sounds like they're punishing themselves with it. Like, they don't have a desire to, like, serve a dom or, like, be taken care of by a dom because it's, like, fulfilling this deeper purpose in their life or their sense of self. It's like like, they literally think, I am like a lowly worm, I am below the dirt, no one can really love me, so I am only deserving of this lesser thing that is going to hurt me, and no one could ever truly be with somebody like me unless I was giving to them in this way. And it's like, no. Don't, what are we doing? Stop eating the dirt. Let's, come on now. All right. Like, that I don't agree with. I'm not saying you do, but, like, there are people who there are edge cases where I think the argument does have some validity, because there are people who do have, they think that submission is a way of solving self-esteem issues as opposed to going to therapy and working on it with a professional. And then people who usually have that mentality realize kind of after doing it for a while that, oh, this isn't actually, like, helping me in any way. And then usually they move on. But there's nothing wrong with knowing what you want in a relationship dynamic. Like, there are people who they date around and they just kind of, you know, they're just seeing what is available. They don't really have any clear-cut dating goals in mind. They're just like, okay, you know, sometimes I'm seeing people more casually. Sometimes I'm dating exclusively, more seriously. And then you have people that are like dating for marriage, and they are only interested in dating people where marriage is on the table and is the explicit reason for why they are dating. I don't think that they're bad or wrong for doing that. They just know exactly what they want. And some people are going to be like, that's so extreme. You're only 22 years old. What do you mean you're only dating to get married? It's like way too much pressure. Like, how do you know your mind could change? Their mind can change, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, just because they're making a different choice than you doesn't mean that it's like bad or they're wasting their time or they're being too serious or something. Like, if you know that you wouldn't be happy approaching it in a different way, then like don't do that. Don't approach it in a different way. Don't do something differently just because other people are like, well, but I don't think this says something good about your personality. Like, I actually have heard this kind of thing a shocking number of times from people that like bedroom kink and are like, well, it's fine that I like to make my girlfriend deep throat me, but I don't understand how any DS relationship could ever really be healthy. And it's like, so let me get this right. You like doing kink where you make, this is usually these are heterosexual men who say this, so we're just gonna go with heterosexual examples. Let me get this straight. You, a man, first of all, how dare you? You like doing DS-y things in the bedroom because you like doing nasty deep throating and rough anal or whatever the fuck. And that's where it begins and ends for you. And that's fine. That's the most you are ever going to give a receiver in that experience is just that. And you call that like being a dom. Fucking whatever, I guess. But then you are going to be Mr. Judgy McJudgerson about like, well, I just don't understand how real DS relationship, 24/7 DS relationships, I just don't understand they could ever be healthy. I don't understand how like giving up your power to somebody else could ever be a good thing. I just don't get it. And it's like, well, maybe it's because in order to have a healthy DS relationship, they'd have to be submitting to somebody who thinks about DS on like a deeper psychological mutual level than just like, oh sweet, I'll wait for my girlfriend to give me blowjobs all the time. And then like, yeah, they're doing it 24/7 and it's healthy because that's what they both want. And it's not just like one cool trick to have somebody touch my penis. Oh God. Why do some men like mean or abusive dom women and or dominant men? I've never understood that. I would love your input on that as well, as you don't mind. I mean, not being a submissive man of that persuasion, I mean, I think there's unlimited potential reasons. This is probably about as many reasons as there are people that are into that kink. I think one is, okay, so I just finished reading this book. And it's called Come Together. It's Emily Nagoski's book, the newer one, and it's about sexual relationships. It's pretty good. I like the first half more than the second half. I find the second half is a lot more like, hey, did you know gender exists? Here's how to break down your gender stuff that you might be, you know, like gender programming around sexuality. Which I'm like, okay, I did that like 10 years ago, and this might be a better read if I had read this 10 years ago as opposed to today, because it would have been newer information. But probably good for people that haven't done that yet. But speaking of gender, my God, the gender is happening. I know, this is part of the trans agenda. This book talks about how, I don't know if this is an original idea to the book or if Emily credits somebody else for that idea originally, but the idea is that boys are essentially socialized to like be winners. Boys are successful, boys win, boys beat other people, they do well, like they are supposed to achieve. And so that usually involves like not taking shit from other people, being a leader, and if somebody were to confront your masculinity via attempting to bully you or be mean to you or put you down or be better than you at something, that needs to be stopped like immediately if you want to maintain your masculinity in the social order. So I imagine that there is a certain degree of like being a submissive man, if you like being with really mean women, that's like, this is something that I just as a man would not you know, for as much as man is for people bellyache about like women being nags and wives being bitches and yada yada, like for the most part, like women are socialized to acquiesce to men's desires, like, you know, be very hospitable, you know, like, you know, smile at them, laugh at all their jokes, you know, fawn over them, dote on them, especially if they grew up in a household with like a overbearing mother or like, you know, 5 older sisters or something. And so there's like a novelty in having a relationship where somebody's like really mean to you, or it's a role reversal of your expectations, and that can be interesting to people. Or it could be that they like the inversion of the stereotype that like women are supposed to like be meek and like be sweet to people and be quiet, not take up too much space, and they find like a woman, like they kind of associate meanness with like a woman being powerful, because it's like we associate like femininity with, okay, as a woman you do not have authority, you don't have power, either personal or in the home or political, and you're meek and silent and sweet and deferential and you're a caretaker and yada yada yada. And so the opposite of that is, okay, if you're a powerful woman, then the traits of a powerful woman are probably somebody who's like had to become, you know, more masculinized and has to be like mean and cold and off-putting. And so it's sort of like an inversion of like expectations of like being a woman. Or they really liked being, you know, bullied by a woman in school, right? They had like a girl who like teased them, or you know, they had like a mean, like aloof babysitter. They had like some female figure somewhere in their life who was like a little bit mean to them, and their little like boy brain just like snapped onto that and just like stayed in there. Of like, one time when I was in 4th grade, Sarah, who I had a crush on, like laughed at me at recess because my pants fell down, and like I never forgot that, and now I have a humiliation kink and I like mean women. Like that's probably part of it. I think if you wanted to explore this more, I imagine like Princess Callie probably has like books or writings about this, because she is like, if you want, like, not just like mean, like the cold kind of stereotypical dominatrix way, but if you want to know like princess mean girl dominant style stuff and the submissive men who love that shit, Princess Callie has, like, that is like her bag. So I would look that up, because I think like she literally goes around wearing a tiara, so it's like iconic, honestly. I wonder how much the likes mean women thing overlaps with likes evil women that I've seen a lot of vanilla straight men express, i.e. talking about how hot a female murderer is. That is fascinating. I have actually never heard vanilla men talk about, especially vanilla straight men, talk about loving an evil woman. Now, gay guys love an evil woman because we got drag queens, we got Disney villains, like just also evil like lesbian stereotype, and like the evil seductress lesbian thing, which is like not as present in modern media but is historically very much a thing. So it could be that as well. But there's is it hybristophilia? I think it is. I think it's hybristophilia. I don't know how it's pronounced, but there's a term for women, usually women, who are very into high-level criminals. And that's usually, I've heard, deployed by the manosphere as like evidence of women's like true nature, of like, this is the true nature of hypergamous women like dangerous men who commit crime. That's why they all like that's why they make Tumblr blogs about the Columbine shooters, and that's why they like the ID Discovery Channel. And that's why they like murder mystery podcasts, is because they're all of them, all women are secretly attracted to dark masculine energy. And that's why women like it when you take them. And actually, women don't admit it, but they love being assaulted by men. It's like, oh my god. You need to have your phone taken away. You need to go to timeout immediately. What the fuck? I never heard the other way around. Maybe just hanging out with the wrong men. Is it like they sexually like, or is it like a respect is interesting? I never understood it, especially the ones that have this kink where they want their dom to spend excessive amounts of money. Oh, you forgot the name for it? Oh, that's FinDom. It's financial domination. But also, that kind of goes back to, like, how does a man have society and power? His, like, masculinity, his status, achievement. Achievement is reflected through the obtaining of physical goods, right? Stacking cash. You just look at what the manosphere preaches is like, this is what it means to be a real man, right? It's like having lots of money, having a Bugatti, wearing suits that are too tight and don't fit them properly, and owning a company. Like, masculinity is about beating other men, being a savage, making lots of money, yada yada. It's like the attainment of, like, physical status items and accumulating wealth. And so if that's how you are taught that men have powers through the accumulation of wealth, giving up power through losing your wealth, that's a pretty direct connection there of, like, this feeling of being, like, drained of your power. And the conqueror, you can literally see the numbers go down of, like, oh my god, my bank account is getting smaller. And I think anytime there's, like, it sounds weird, but, like, there's a lot of kinks where, like, if you really stop and think about it, there's, like, an element of, like, oh, you can kind of almost see what somebody's, like, eroticizing there. Like things getting reduced down to, like, almost nothing, or, like, expanding and expanding and expanding. Those both tend to be things that, like, people find erotic, especially, like, transformation type stuff. Whether it's, like, a size kink thing, or, like, an inflation thing, or, like, bimboification, and, like, what am I thinking of? I can picture it in my head, but, like, I forget what the term for it is. It'll come back to me later. But, like, there's a lot of stuff, or like giantess stuff, like extreme size differences, or things like shrinking and growing tends to be something that, for whatever reason, brains are fairly good at eroticizing, and it's a little bit more abstract when it is, like, money going away and getting smaller. But I could see how somebody could find it erotic to imagine, like, oh my god, she's spending every last dollar and making it getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like almost zero, and, like, for some reason that being a thing that turns people on. Not my kink, to be clear, not my thing, not into it, but I can, like, brains are weird. Oh, no, it's a sexual thing. Like, she'll kill me, but it's hot. Saying it now, it might connect to the idea of, like, crazy people being better at sex. Oh, now that you've said that, I think it's very much the I want to have sex with the BPD girlfriend thing, where they're like, don't stick your dick in crazy, but, like, girls with bipolar disorder, like, borderline or whatever, like, get to have crazy pussy, and they'll do whatever you want, and they get obsessed with you, and it's like, it's a very Dennis Reynolds kind of thing, where it's like, it's not really that I don't imagine they would not probably be into an independent, sane, evil woman. Like, they don't want a, like, evil queen. They want chaotic crazy. They want, like, the girl from Arcane, whatever the fuck her name is, or, like, Harley Quinn, or, like, just pick a media character where you have somebody who's, like, I don't know, like, off a rocker a little bit, maybe dresses provocatively, and, like, seems sort of loose sexually. They're like, oh my god, I bet she'll let me do whatever I want to her. And then she'll smoke a cigarette and leave. Like, it's like Manic Pixie Dream Girl, but if Manic Pixie Dream Girls, like, chain smoked cigarettes and had, like, a mental health disorder beyond anxiety. Like, this is essentially, it's all connected. Aw, sleepy puppy, so sleepy. So snoozy. Okay, alright, good questions, though, very interesting. Manic Impish Nightmare Girl. Yes, that is a great one. I like that. You should stick your dick in crazy. It's me. I'm crazy. That actually would be, like, that t-shirt would go crazy hard in an orgy. Like, get that on, like, a crop top and wear that to an orgy. That would be so fucking funny. Oh, that would be good. I'd laugh at that. If somebody wore that to a kink party, I'd have a good giggle about it. I don't know if I'd want that to be like a thing people could just buy off a Redbubble, but at a private event, that would be very funny. Oh, yes, like the I can fix her thing. I think it's like a little bit less common with men, just to be honest with you. Like, I think with, you know, we're talking about heterosexuals here, so, you know, those are the dynamics that exist. I would think it's more common for cishet women to be like, oh my God, I gotta fix him. He's the bad boy. I can make him good. Or like, you know, we can be bad together, but I'll like domesticate him. Like, that's the fantasy. I think men honestly worry less about fixing a woman. Like, when you're talking to like female friends and they're like sharing a profile or like somebody or like I don't know, like somebody they see they have a crush on, or like somebody that's like a celebrity that was like messy and problematic, or somebody from like a fan fiction they think is hot, they'll go like, oh my God, I know he's like bad, but he's super hot and I could fix him. Like, that's the vibe. Whereas like if a man thinks somebody is like off the rocker and like has a few screws loose is hot, they're like, oh my God, she's gonna like ruin my life. Like, they don't actually want her to get better. They want her to be like a tornado of dick sucking and then like leave their life like completely askance. Like, they want somebody who's gonna like pop in and out very quickly, not overstay their welcome, put out some crazy moves I've never seen before, and then like leave them forever like altered brain chemistry wise irrevocably. Like, they don't like, as an alternative person, like if I'm on dating apps and like, I haven't had this happen a lot, but like if you've been, this might actually happen to like women in general, but I think it happens more with people who like dress and style themselves visibly alternatively. Like, with black hair, if you have tattoos, if you have piercings, if you dress in certain aesthetic ways, if it hasn't happened yet, it will. A lot of men respond by like, I would let you ruin my life. I would let you destroy me. I would let you, and they don't. None of the fantasy ever involves fixing. It's just like, I want you to hydrogen bomb my life. And then also, please touch my penis. Like, it's very, very small-minded. I've never seen Pretty Woman. Although, I think that's probably the exception and not the rule. As far as, like, I want to fix... That actually is very specific. I do know, like, Pretty Woman is about, like, a man falling in love with a sex worker, right? And then, like, saving her from sex work. I think that's very specific to sex work and women. And like men wanting to save women. I think men do fantasize about saving women from like having to do sex work, or like they want the sexuality that they perceive somebody who works full time in the sex industry possesses, but they want to like this. I don't know how positive or wholesome Pretty Woman is, but I think if we're looking at like a fantasy context and the average heterosexual man who probably doesn't have a good opinion of women or sex workers or whatever, because we are terrible about educating people in this country and teaching them how to have healthy relationships to other people. I imagine that most of the fantasies are like, I want to give her a better life. It's like, I like the allure and like the status it gives me to like, and this is like a very manosphere thing. They'll be like, oh my God, she's ran through, she's a porn star. So that's like the counterbalance to this. But I think a lot of times it's like, I want to know that I'm fucking somebody who is a porn star or used to be a porn star. And I've taken them away from that. And I've taken them away from their career. And now I get to be the sole beneficiary of her professional acumen. Ha ha ha, look at me. I have caged the bird. Like a lot more of unconscious... I don't know how I'd phrase that. Like, I want to be very hashtag not all men. I'm just talking about, like, shitty, average, like, manosphere adjacent type men. Like, definitely not all men. But there's, like, an uncomfortable minority of men where, like, their ideal fantasies of women involve a lot of, like, it's the Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing. Like, they don't actually want a genuinely free spirit or somebody who is genuinely, they're really independent. A lot of times they like that, but what they really want to do is control it and cage it and keep it for themselves privately where other people can't access it. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of straight men are very threatened by independent women. And then they say it's because, well, she wouldn't be a good Christian housewife. And it's like, I think you're just threatened by a woman that has a career. I think that's literally it. But yeah, the movie is unrealistic as fuck, but it proves I can fix her as a fantasy for at least a subset of men. Oh, like, okay, I will say, like, it's every fantasy that exists on Earth, like, has somebody who's into it. Just, there's too many people, there's too many variations in our brains. Humans, sexual diversity, it is a big thing. I do believe that it is a fantasy for some men, but I think that is completely outsized by the, like, it's like probably 90-10 would be my theory. At least I've never interacted with a man who's ever talked to me about having even on professionally, personally, I've never interacted with a man who has told me that they have a fantasy or acted like they have a fantasy where they want to fix a woman in a way that is not ultimately about controlling and containing her and getting to, like, stow her away from other people. Like actually fixing her, like, I want to make her life better, as opposed to, like, I want to keep you away from others. And, like, it's about, like, possessiveness as opposed to actually fixing. But anyways, that's some of my thoughts about that. There's no limit how many questions you can ask. I can't promise I'm going to get to all of them. But you feel free to ask as many as you want. I am going to switch over to the questions box soon. So if you have not put your question there, I would recommend it, because I can't necessarily focus on all these different chats all at the same time. Does anyone know where I could get high quality fluffy puppy gear? Not necessarily a hood, but a general headpiece. She's very adamant that it needs to be very fluffy. My puppy can be quite demanding. First of all, it's adorable. And second of all, I get it. I do not like, at least for, okay, when I say I don't like, I mean, I don't feel like my version of a puppy when I'm wearing, like, a leather pup hood or something that's, like, very sleek. I also like things that are very fluffy. I don't know any. I know that there are a couple of makers. Scrapyard Leather is one who will, I think, work with fur to make hoods, and will do, like, I think, like a cowhide or something. If it's not Scrapyard, it's somebody else. But there are a couple people who will do, like, fur on, like, leather headgear. But I feel like I don't think that they're very feminine. So what I have done instead is I don't think I've taken any pictures of this yet, but I've been working on, like, a pet play outfit. And I have accepted that I will just be showing my regular face, but then I'll have, like, fluffy ears. So I'll do faux fur ears and a big fluffy tail, and then I have other kind of, like, fluffy accessories. So I got, oh my god, this was like find of the century for me. I got secondhand. I got a fur, like, it's like a vest shrug is how I would describe it. Like, it's like very cropped. It's like, it goes to kind of like boob length sort of, but it's not long sleeve like a shrug normally is. It's like just like a thick strap. It was like a vest, like how, like, wide a vest strap is, and it's like cropped. And that I feel like is perfect. And then I'm looking for, I would like to get, and these are probably gonna be a long time to track down, like some furry, like rabbit fur, like wrist cuff type things or something I'm looking for secondhand, to have those. And so I'll have kind of more, like, fuzzy accessories, like, tied into the rest of the outfit to, like, put more fur in the outfit versus just relying on a headpiece. And that, I think, is the way to go, is maybe, like, incorporating, like, as opposed to having, like, a fuzzy headpiece, maybe you do, like, a fuzzy, like, real fur, faux fur, like a fuzzy, like a crop jacket or something. Especially if you're going to be wearing an outfit where you want to, like, maybe you're going out to a convention or you're going out to a munch or something, and you want something that's kind of like puppy-ish, but is not full on gear, or is not something you're necessarily going to be playing around in. But if you want a cute outfit to wear out to a kink event, and then maybe change out of from when you're playing for later, that's what I'm steering towards. But normally it's just like fuzzy ears, and then, like, styling my hair in a way that's fluffy. So I'll curl it, I'll use like a wave iron, and then I'll crimp it, and so I'll make it kind of like big and fluffy that way. People also do like wigs and stuff too, but yeah, it's hard. I don't actually even know what other kind of like fluffy headgear would work. I don't know of anyone who makes something that's like, I would like to see like almost something with like a shearling, like maybe like a shearling, or what is it called? Like a suede or something, maybe even like a high nap suede. Like I could see there being a couple of types of leather that you could use, or maybe even doing fur or something that's bonded to leather or something like that to make a face mask that is like fuzzier. But I don't know anyone who does that, but I think that would be really cool. Yes, I really love secondhand. I'm a big proponent of it, and there's, especially if you are looking for just like a natural color fur, there is so much secondhand fur out there to get, and it's like you get stuff that's really expensive, you get stuff that's cheap, but that's definitely the direction I would go on. And I think it just makes it easier to make the look a little bit more like femme, you know. But good luck. I think PNC also adds some fur in specific hoods. Oh, who's PNC? I don't know. I'm gonna just Google and see if they pop up. I don't imagine they will, but maybe they will. The name is familiar. Now it's just showing me results for PVC, which is not who I'm looking for. Oh, PNC Creations, is that it? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, I found it. I'm gonna link to them in the chat, so if people are interested. And I'll link to Scrapyard Leather as well, because they mentioned them too. I can't get a lot of the images to load, but I do see what you're saying, where they do have fur on some of the hoods. But Scrapyard Leather makes like a hood for any creature you can think of. I never really found anyone who makes like a cutesy, like I almost sort of, if I really wanted like a furry, like a fuzzy cutesy hood, I would almost go with like a partial fursuit kind of thing. Like I would do like a fursuit head, and then do like maybe the like paws and the arms, like, or the hands, I guess. Like, I mean, that would be really expensive, but there's lots of different like furry design styles now, and so I think that's probably worth it. Oh, thank you, Carol, for the $5 Bandita treat fund. Yes, she very much appreciates it. You can't tell because she's snoozing, but she's a sleepy old girl, so that's allowed. Yeah, definitely check out Scrapyard. They are based in Canada, so if you're Canadian, they are definitely who I'd recommend if you're ever in the market for any kind of animal hood. I don't know if they make, I think they make other stuff too. I think they make like collars and harnesses and stuff as well. So even if you're not into pup play, they do make other gear that you might enjoy. So there you go. Alrighty, next question. Time has just flown by. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, it's very coincidental. I started answering that at the same time. What do you think about... Oh, why do you think that power dynamics are so popular? I recently debated with someone... Oh, no. Don't do that. With someone who disagreed with the idea that an equal partner could be a 24/7 sub in a relationship. So, okay, I'm going to not answer this question first, and then I promise I will answer it. But I do just want to, like... If you are not a content creator, if you don't have to, I would just recommend, if somebody is like coming at you and they're vehemently anti-kink, there is nothing to be gained by debating them. Their mind is not open. You're not arguing with anybody else. You're not going to convince anybody else because there's nobody else listening or watching. It's just you putting out energy. So I know it can be really hard to fight the temptation to explain and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's why what I'm doing is fine. And actually, I'm healthy and I'm happy in my relationship and I'm an adult and yada yada. Like, it can be really tempting to over-explain just at all and try to, like, get them to see your side, but they're not going to. And I would not recommend wasting emotional energy on people, because what are you trying to do? You're trying to like get them to see your side. They're trying to get you to like treat you better. You're trying to get them to essentially like be able to not shame you anymore for your interests. And you can just instead decide not to care what they think, because they don't matter. And it's really hard to walk away and just say like, hey, this is not good for my brain, I shouldn't be engaging in this. But if you can like notice that moment where you feel like getting sucked into a debate or a disagreement with somebody who is saying something really awful about you or your kink or people like you, you know, maybe check in on that feeling of like, oh, hey, I have this urge right now to like, I'll show them, I'm gonna make this really good argument for why kink is fine and why I'm actually a good, decent, fine person, and they're totally gonna believe me. They're gonna see how wrong they are, and I'm gonna own them in the marketplace of ideas. If you notice that urge, maybe just like sit on it for a little bit. Be like, you know what? I don't have to do this right now. What else is important for me to be doing? Walk away, spend like 5 minutes doing something else. I'm assuming this is happening on the internet. I'm assuming somebody hasn't said this to your face. But if you can like walk away, if you come back later, you'll probably decide it's not really worth it to engage in. But also, you also don't have to do it at all. You can just be like, I don't have to care what this person thinks. I don't have to respond. I don't have to let them get me angry. And I didn't really understand this. This is like kind of a recent thing for me in the last like year or so of like really understanding that I truly did not have to care about whatever anyone's opinion of me was. Like if I got into an argument with somebody or like somebody left a mean comment, like I could truly just choose to be like, and why do I care? What is this doing for me or my life? Oh, never mind. Like, and just like completely move on and like not care. And this feels like the kind of advice you give to like a bullied kid to make them feel better, but genuinely, you win by not engaging, by not getting bogged down into whatever their bullshit is. Because also if it's online, there's a pretty good chance that whoever you're arguing with is a troll or a bot and like AI and not a real person, and you are just expending emotional energy on somebody who's like might not even be real. So anyways, that's just to say that preserve your brain cells, please. But in terms of like, why do I think power dynamics are so popular? You know, there's just like there's so many reasons for it. Like a lot of it's the same reasons as stuff I've already talked about, right? It's like playing with a taboo. It's getting to play with things that, you know, might be related to traumatic experiences. It's about escapism. It's about getting to step away from the stress of everyday life responsibilities. It's about bonding and trust in relationships. It's about getting to have a container to express your like certain physical desires that aren't like appropriate in a vanilla relationship context. It's a way of, you know, putting natural tendencies that you have into an acceptable consensual container where it's better than just like wantonly doing them to somebody non-consensually. It can be a way of having like very clear rules and structure for a relationship, which is really beneficial for a lot of neurodivergent people. It's a good way to stay like aware and like mindful of the relationship in a way where, because you are going against like typical vanilla relationship norms of how those types of relationships are supposed to grow, you do have to do a lot more conscious work on maintaining the relationship, monitoring it, communicating about it, and a lot of people like that aspect of it. A lot of people find it romantic to either like serve their partner or like be served by someone, so this like allows a framework for that to happen. Like there's just so many reasons. It's like it's very popular. You know, I don't think it is only popular because it's replicating the patriarchy in some way, and it's recreating social norms of feminine woman, submissive, masculine man, dominant and controlling. I think certainly for a lot of people, it is the case that they have natural desires and tendencies in a relationship that just kind of make them ill-suited to dating in a vanilla egalitarian context, especially if they enjoy really high-level power exchange. It can be a big struggle to date in an egalitarian way if you are somebody who genuinely wants to just like submit to your partner and do what makes them happy, and like having to be in control or be egalitarian in the bedroom or, you know, make equal decisions is just anathema to you. It's like, this is not what I want at all. This just makes me unhappy. I think that's very real, and I don't think it has necessarily anything to do with gender. I mean, I think there are some people for whom it does have to do with gender, but oftentimes I think it's more about subverting gender expectations than it is about fulfilling them. Or if it is about fulfilling them, it's in sort of almost a like tongue-in-cheek taking power back over this thing that I'm forced to do anyways by society kind of deal. Like, I think we underestimate how much like kids internalize certain messages growing up. And so if you're a kid and you get, especially if you're in like certain ages of, I'm talking about people for whom DS is sexual, by the way, for this specifically, because you can do DS non-sexually, you can do pretty much any kink non-sexually, except for probably like orgasm control and orgasm training and like things that involve strictly only sex acts. And even then there's edge cases where it's like, well, you can kind of just use it as torture, but like non-sexual torture. Like, we don't have to get into that, it's complicated, but like, if you're doing stuff like that, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, for people who are, oh my god, I lost it again. Oh my god, what is my brain doing today? Let's reorganize our thoughts. No, I completely lost it. I don't know where I was going with that. Whee! Brain just decided that's not going to be a thought we hold on to, I guess. Oh well. But yeah, if you like serving a partner, you're probably not necessarily going to do well in other dynamics. Yes, block early and block often is something I strongly encourage. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, I'm gonna pop over here to the question box chat. Let's see how that's going. Is pet play everywhere now? I haven't had the chance to watch the video. Well, I can't tell you because it'll spoil the video. You should watch it. But the answer is yes, pet play is everywhere now. It's in every movie. It is actually, the Hollywood elite have said that every movie must have pet play in it from now on. Required screen time of 30 seconds minimum of pet play in order to be produced by Paramount. Whatever. I don't know if Paramount's a producer or like what role they play in movies, whatever. But yes, it is currently a hot button thing in cinema for some reason. Do you have any books you recommend or resources on bondage that is more intermediate or advanced? Yes, I do. Let me pull those up real quick. I know on my Patreon I have a list of like Shibari books specifically, but let me see here. Because I can never remember all the titles and names of stuff. Let's see. I would really recommend, if you are specifically looking at suspension, I would definitely do in-person classes. You can supplement with video stuff. I really like Shibari's study for rope bondage videos. I think they make very good stuff. It's very high quality. Shay Tiziano has a book that recently came out, and I think the last like couple of years, called Tying and Flying, Bondage for Self-Suspension. Obviously, it's about self-suspension, but a lot of the principles that are in that book you can use for solo suspension as well, especially if you are practicing. You're probably practicing on yourself to a certain extent. So Tying and Flying by Shay Tiziano, I definitely recommend because they are a very good educator. And then the other books I'd recommend... I think I'm spelling that right. I'm trying to find it. Here we go. Do they have... where is it? Oh, here we go. Is it in this section maybe? No, it's not it. Okay, they used to have. I was looking at something specific and now I can't find it. I know Douglas Kent makes a book. There's a couple of them, and he has like, it's like a multi-part thing, and it starts with basic stuff. Oh no, that's a completely other different random guy who's also named Douglas Kent. And his books are like very interestingly illustrated because let's just say he doesn't use like pretty waifish models. Volume 2 is Sky. So Douglas Kent's Complete Shibari, Volume 2 Sky. You might like if you're looking for more advanced stuff. And then I know there's another recent one that came out. But I think that's more of a beginner book though, because it's Foundations of Rope Bondage. That's probably not going to be something that's necessarily for you. I know that there's a couple of other books too. I think Mayumi has a book. Gestalta has a book. That's the one I was looking for. And now, is it out of print? Did they not make it anymore? Let me look it up. Shibari Suspensions. Oh no, it is still. Okay. Agreeable Agony has it. Shibari Suspensions by Gestalta. You can find it on the Agreeable Agony website. Those would probably be the 3 that I'd look into if you want specifically advanced stuff. But I feel like, I love books. I love reading. I have a whole bookshelf that's like right over there. I personally have not found books to be the most useful medium for, suspension stuff. Oh, and it looks like Shay has another, I didn't know this. Shay has a second part of her Tying and Flying series, which is Soaring and Exploring, self-suspension for experienced tires and flyers. So if you are more experienced, that might be a good one for you to look into. I think the website probably has like the most variety of rope bondage books in English is going to be the Agreeable Agony website, it looks like. Most of the other websites I looked at that I would normally recommend don't have anything in stock right now. So I'm going to put a link to this in the chat, and then hopefully that will give you some things to look at. All right, okay, we got 15 minutes left, more or less. So if you've not asked your question yet, now is the best time to do it. You can also use a super chat on Streamlabs, or you can use the link down below and you can donate through there, and it'll pop up your question on screen and I will get to it right away. Otherwise, I definitely cannot promise that I will answer it because I can see that I have a whole bunch of questions that I will definitely not be able to get to. Okay, is FetLife still the main way to find play partners in 2026? Been out of the scene for a bit. I wouldn't say that FetLife has ever been, like, directly the best way to find play partners in any year. I think of FetLife as a way to find events to find partners. If you're going to think of FetLife as using it for that reason, I would not use it directly as a way to find partners now or at any point in time. So if you're thinking about it like, I'm going to go browse FetLife to find somebody to play with, that's probably not going to work. So wouldn't recommend it for that. I would say there's a lot more diversity in terms of where people post events, though. There's some new ticketing websites. There's the Plura app, especially if you're on the West Coast. There's quite a bit in the California area on Plura. If you're looking on Field, for example, that's probably the main kinky dating app if you want to find play partners to potentially also date. Although I'm sure people also use Field as a way to find, like, just people to play with and not necessarily date. So Field, F-E-E-L-D, you could look at that. There's also Forbidden Tickets, has a lot of kink events on there for things to look at. Thank you so much, Sean, for the 15-minute warning, as well as the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, and welcome to the new members. You now can use the emotes in the chat. How fun. So I would probably use one of those, and I would say, though, that most things are still on FetLife, even if they are also on places like Plura or Forbidden Tickets. Almost all of them are also listed on FetLife, so you can find events on there, go to things that way. If you've been on the scene for like a while, you might not know that there's a lot more people who are moving into like non-FetLife group stuff. So, you know, Discord chats are pretty popular now for events. I would say that's probably the main way that finding play partners has changed from being on FetLife to other places. Like, it used to be, if you were going to a convention, the main way to find play partners would be, there would be like a group seeking thread on FetLife, and you would post an ad of some description in there or respond to people in there, and that would be how you would find people. But nowadays, a lot of the bigger conventions either are using the Yap app, which is only available while the convention is happening, and people talk on there, or they use Discord, and people coordinate over Discord to find people to play with on there. So those are probably the best ways that people find play partners. But regardless, the best way to find people is just going to be to go out and go to an event, probably multiple events, talk to people, make friends. Don't be creepy. Don't try to touch every person that you meet. Like, follow normal socialization standards, and you will probably be fine. But yet it's still the main way. I, like, even in my life, like, you know, I go to events, I use dating apps, and I would say at this point in my kink life, I'm probably like 50-50 on people I've met through in-person events and people that I've met through dating apps. And like, I think meeting people in person at events is going to be the best. If that is the level of experience that you have, if that is the kind of level of participation you want, that's going to be the best way to find people. Like, if what you want is like little bondage in the bedroom every now and then, like, dating apps are probably fine. But if you want to like find a DS relationship, then you're going to need more than that. And oh my gosh, thank you so much to all the new members. Sean gifted 10 memberships. Thank you, Sean, and welcome to all of the new members. You also can use emotes in the chat now. How exciting. Oh, okay, this is a really interesting question. Is it possible, and I'm definitely curious to hear from other people in the audience on this one. Is it possible to build a 24/7 DS relationship that isn't based on decision-making or authority, which we default to anyways because he has a strong preference and I don't, or service, which causes resentment? Thanks. Let me think about this. Based on something beyond decision-making or providing service. Okay, so I'm going to say that I have some book recommendations for you, so give me a second. I gotta get the books. I think I have one of them out right now. Let's see, where is it? I know it's in here. Where is it? Oh, here it is. I was looking for the wrong color. Hi, puppy. Hello, puppy tax. Puppy tax. Yeah. We walk by the puppy. We gotta pet the puppy. That's the puppy tax. Hi, girl. Girl. Uh-oh, uh-oh. You're finger trapping me. You're finger trapping me. You got me. You got me, little girl. Okay. All right. These are the books I'm going to recommend to you. In particular, the second one. So the first one is The Heart of Dominance by Anton Fullman. This is my current favorite book on Power Exchange. If you only read one book about DS and nothing else, I would recommend this. As you can see, I have noted it in color by section. If you like how I talk about kink and DS, Anton Fullman is very, very similar. We have a lot of like parallel ideas, weirdly. It's like I've read this book and been like, oh, I've thought of that before. I didn't phrase it that way, but that's like basically the same idea. So I would look at The Heart of Dominance, and then probably your best resource is going to be the Dominance Playbook, How to Play with Power. And the way that this book is broken up here, let me show you a chapter with words in it that I can show on YouTube. So you have, for example, chapter 4 is about like using physical domination as a tool in your DS relationship. So I'd probably say if it's not based on service or like authority, the one I'd probably go to is like discipline and training, probably would be what I would go to, like more of like a discipline training punishment flavor dynamic, as being probably the most common third option. So instead of it being about like providing service, just in and of itself, like kind of going more of a personal growth route, kind of like, we're gonna instill certain habits in you. We're gonna, do things with your sleep schedule. We're gonna do things with your habits. We're gonna do posture correction, a flexibility routine, a strength workout routine. You're gonna learn how to dance, like learning how to do things, or do things with your body to please your partner, and so your deference to them, that they have control over. But it's not just like, learn how to serve me a delicious pot of tea on command exactly the way that I like. So you're not doing anything service-oriented. It's more like personal growth focused. And then I think discipline like pairs naturally really well with anything that's sort of like life experience growth oriented. But yeah, this is, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'd look into with that. But yeah, I definitely look at Anton Fullman's books, but especially this one, which again is I've recommended a lot of books today. The Dominance Playbook by Anton Fullman would be the one that I recommend. So that might give you some ideas, but yeah, it's probably the main flavor I would go with. 24/7 TPE, but is life coaching that isn't a scam. Yes, it is the most bang for your buck life coaching that you will get for sure. It's not $15,000, which like how many people ever buy that? That's gonna be like one person. You're just like, I'm waiting for that person to pay for my stuff. But yes, she is my cute little fur baby. Thank you. All right, I answered the ones about the yandere trope already, I think. Next question. My partner and I want to bring our dynamic outside of the bedroom, but we're both switches and aren't really sure how to approach doing this. I wish so much that there was like just a book about switch relationships, because I feel like that would be so helpful for exploring the depth of how you can do switching beyond just like, sometimes I spank him and sometimes they spank me. Like, it's sort of like where it begins and ends, you know? So I would say if you want to take your dynamic outside of the bedroom, I'm assuming that means you want to both switch outside of the bedroom. And I have heard of a lot of different approaches to this, depending on what feels the best for both of you and like how your dynamic tendencies are. Like, some people are both like, we are both 50-50 switches and it's like equal down the middle. Some people are like, yeah, I'm like a top leaning switch, they're a bottom leaning switch, so we kind of mostly do like 90% of it is this, and then the other 10% we swap places. So depending on what that looks like for you, some examples I've seen people do would be, there's like, it's like you negotiate in advance like specific days or weeks that one of you is going to have the dominant role and the other one's going to have the submissive role. So it could be like, maybe you swap out like every other week. Like, one week is your week to be the dom, the next week is their week to be the dom, if you like things that are pre-scheduled. And it could be any level of frequency you want. It could be, I would probably, just so you can kind of get into the headspace, I would do it maybe minimum like a week, but I would, you know, you could do like every other week, you could do every month you switch. It could be less frequent than that, but maybe somewhere like that you can kind of intentionally swap out, so that way you're both kind of getting equal time. Other people will do it where they do it a little bit more like day by day. Like, it's sort of, you like, especially if you live together, you kind of like wake up in the morning, maybe you have some kind of like feelings chart, or like I really like doing the, you know what the, like the fire danger, like, what is that, like scale, you know what that looks like, where it's like, you know, I forget what the lowest color temperature is for lowest. I think it's like blue is like no risk, and red is like extreme danger. Like, you can do that, but like blue means like completely submissive, and then red means completely dominant. So you can like wake up in the morning, you're drinking your coffee, you're getting ready for work, and then you can each put on like, here's how dominant or submissive I feel today, and then based on like where your preferences fall, you kind of go, okay, well, you know, we're both feeling very submissive, so we're both going to dom each other, in the sense of like, maybe it's more of a caretaking thing, and, you know, receive that as well from each other. Or maybe it's like very strong, okay, you're very dominant, I'm very submissive, that's clearly the dynamic we're going to take today. Or maybe you're both 50-50, in which case you do an arm wrestling competition, you do a coin flip. You could have it be like a silly solution, like, all right, we both equally want to be the dom, so the only way we can decide this is a battle to the death, and rock, paper, scissors. Like, you can do it that way. You can do a wrestling match. You can do a thumb war, whatever, a game of Monopoly, like whatever you want. Maybe not as a game of life or something. I think you can play Monopoly with 2 people, but do something to figure out like who's gonna be the dom for the day. I know other people where it's like a lot more fluid, and it's a lot more like moment to moment, and so having a 24/7 DS relationship for them, like, there's not a set of rules that's like always present, always on, all of the time, but like they each have like an understanding of like, when I'm the dom, this is what's going to happen, and when you're the dom, this is what's going to happen. And so there's a mutual understanding of like what the different roles mean, but there's not quite a like, every morning you will wake up and you will make me my tea, and it will have 1 lump of sugar, and it will be exactly this many degrees hot, and blah blah blah. Like, you don't have that kind of thing where it's there's like routines, but there's like a way of relating that you've talked about ahead of time, of like, when I am dominant, you will address me as this, you will approach me this way, you'll gaze this way with your eyeballs, like, and that will be more how it takes shape, as opposed to ongoing structure, if that makes sense. So lots of different ways that you could potentially approach it. It just depends on like what kind of switches you are and how switchy you are. I think playing with others is like a really, really good, like, especially getting into the kink scene and understanding it more. I wish they would do like an updated edition. Would be really nice. It's about that time to where I think some of the advice about like navigating the online portion of the community is just gonna like keep getting older and older and older, and I think updating it to reflect the fact that like Discord exists is like gonna be a big one. But yeah, good question. Okay, I think I have time for one more. So let me see who the lucky last person is gonna be. Okay, this is like a okay. There's like a silly short one that I'm just going to answer really quickly, and then there's a longer one that I will get into because I think it's important. So I've been watching Twitch, and I think your streams are awesome, and I'm curious, is Final Fantasy VII worth to play? I've been thinking about giving it a try. I think it's really fun. I like, so far, the message of Final Fantasy VII. I think if I had more time to play it, like if I was playing it every day, or I played it for like longer periods, I think it would be great. Right now, the main stopping point for me on recommending it is just I find the combat to be difficult because I'm playing it so sporadically. So if you like faster paced combat and you like learning a lot of systems and like building stuff, I think it's very worth it. I think the story is great. And there's also like, there's so much game to play. The third one is going to be coming out relatively soon, and probably by the time you finish the, you know, depending on how much time you have to play the games, by the time you finish the 2 games that are already out, the 3rd one might already be out. So I think it's worth it. I really like it. I think it's been a good experience. So yes, I guess I would recommend it. All right, so the last question for today is going to be, how do I communicate to my partner that I can't top them in an ABDL situation? I've told them multiple times I do not enjoy the caregiver role in that way. I am also disabled too, so that makes it harder. So here's the thing. You cannot be coerced into topping. Point blank period. If you are getting coerced to do anything in kink, right? If there's coercion, if there is pressure, if they try to submit to you without you negotiating for that, that is also a consent violation. That is also a coercion situation. I think a lot of times we consider, without really thinking about it, that when we say things like consent violation or coercion or manipulation, we're sort of assuming that means big bad domly dom beating a submissive without permission and then saying like, what's the problem, toots? All women like getting whipped by big, strong alpha males. like that's what we think it is. It's like, no, it can also look like brats bratting without consent. It can look like people suddenly regressing into a state where you need to be a caretaker for them. And then when you tell them, like, hey, like, this isn't our dynamic, like, I can't be your caretaker, they go, but I want you to be my mommy. And then they, like, guilt you into being in that role, or they fight with you about it, or they resist, but I need this. If you want to date me, you have to do this. That's coercion. That's wrong. That's not okay. It doesn't matter if it's sexual or not. It doesn't matter if it's coming from a submissive or a bottom or a top or a dom or anybody. That is still coercion. So the solution to this problem, I will not give you the Reddit answer of just break up with them. Although I think if they are continually disrespecting your boundaries, that is something that you absolutely should consider. And if you cannot do that for whatever reason, like if your health insurance is reliant upon them, that's a little scary. But this is my tip. This is how you set a boundary, okay? Do not over-explain. Do not justify it. Do not say maybe if you want to, if you feel like it. Don't say sorry. Don't apologize while you set a boundary. The best thing you can do is clear and concise. And what you say is, as I have stated before, I cannot act as a caretaker, and I will not act as a caretaker. If you approach me like that, I will not respond. Okay? So say what you're going to do with your behavior, which is you will not engage, you will not respond, you will not be defaulted into taking the caretaking role. And if they try to bait you into explaining it, justifying it, if they try to coerce you out of it, guilt you into changing your opinion, they're going to tell you it's a stupid boundary and that it's dumb and being a caretaker should be a blessing and whatever the fuck it is they come up with. Again, that is bullshit. If they try to bait you into anything, don't get into it. Don't justify it. Again, do not, remember we talked about expending emotional energy and people that aren't going to listen to you? Do not expend the emotional energy, because what you're doing if you get into that is you're communicating that you could be negotiated with and you might change your mind. So the only thing you should do is repeat the boundary if you're going to say anything at all. If you don't want to communicate about it again, you just say, I will not communicate about this further. And then if they try to bait you into it, you can say, again, I will not communicate about this further. Leave it there. Or you can just literally copy and paste, repeat what you've already said or texted and go, I cannot and will not be taking on a caregiver role. That's it. Just say it over and over again. You just gotta not give them anything to work with. And if they still aren't getting it, and they are still like, but why, but why, but why, but why? See first response, which is maybe just break up with them. Because people that are not interested in your boundaries don't care about you, and they're probably not somebody that you want to be in a relationship with, top, bottom, or otherwise. So anyways, that is hopefully a good answer. Good luck. People who don't respect boundaries are difficult. But thank you all so much for spending some of your 3rd of July, almost 4th of July with me. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you all so much for being here. Stay safe. Have a fun weekend. Drink your water. Wear your sunscreen. If it's really hot, please stay inside. Please stay cool. And I will see you all on Monday for a Twitch stream. If you haven't had enough of me today, I did have a video that came out a couple hours ago talking about pet play in Hollywood. And we talked about basically all the things you all have wanted me to chat about in regards to Wuthering Heights and Sydney Sweeney doing pet play and all of that. So anyways, go check that out. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate you all. I'll talk to you again later. Bye.